In the last presentation, we talked about procurement process, how procurement works, and the various steps involved in the procurement process. Today, we are taking it a step further and we are looking at the controls that can be established or put in place by management in the procurement process. Follow me through as I take you through this round of presentation. Thank you. When we are looking at controls that can be established by management, we are actually talking about the process and the procedures set by management with respect to procurement. We are looking at the selection process of the vendors. We are looking at the terms and conditions that are being negotiated. We are looking at the payment, how it is being done, the approvals, approval limits, authorization, as well as approvals within the organization as it relates to procurement. So let's dive in and look at the various controls that can be put in place. The very first is that you must have a standard operating procedure as it relates to procurement. All the steps that we talked about in the previous presentation, you have to ensure that they are properly documented within the organization. The next is on invoices. When we talk about invoices, there is what we call three-way match, which relates to matching the invoice with the purchase order and the goods received note. On invoice as well, you need to ensure that the right authorization and approval is in place. Also ensure that it is duly verified before payment is made. And finally, ensure that the invoices are properly posted into the appropriate ledgers within the organization. Taking it a step further, aside invoices, every associated cost relating to the procurement must be duly posted or recorded in the respective general ledger before the end of the month, and also ensure that reconciliation is done where necessary or where applicable. The next is purchase order approvals. We say that for all purchases within the organization, ensure that there is a purchase order that is duly approved. Moving on, we say there must be segregation of duties. What we are saying here is the staff or the manager initiating this particular purchase should be different from the person who would authorize and approve payments. We've seen in some instances where it is the same procurement manager that discusses with various vendors, to get information on quotes and all that and the availability of the product, and it's still the same procurement manager who authorizes payments to these vendors. There's a risk inherent in that particular type of transaction. And then the next is vendor management. Ensure that all vendors are duly registered within the organization with proper KYC checks in place. Also, have a database for your vendors. Depending on the size of the organization, you can even start with Excel, and then as you keep advancing, you improve with technology as well, the database that you have in place for your vendors. But what we are saying here is that vendor management is very key. And then when you request for quotation, ensure that you request for quotation from about 3 to 4 vendors. That way you are able to evaluate them based on the criteria that has been set, and then select the best vendor, or the vendor that gives you what you want in terms of the quality you want for your goods and services, the vendor that is able to deliver within the shortest possible time, the vendor that has the capacity to also handle your requests. I hope this presentation has been very impactful. I hope you've gotten 1 or 2 things in terms of controls that you can put in place in your organization. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. See you in the next presentation. Have a great one.